Hi YouTubers. Now, you may be wondering about the title of this video. I'm sure that plenty of you, if not all of you, now know about various dramas going on upon YouTube at the moment. And the title is, of course, an oxymoron. If you don't know what an oxymoron is, it's something which isn't something. I'd like to define it. I should have looked it up on the dictionary actually, but I didn't. Anyway, it's something that's a statement which is untrue. It's sort of nonsense statement. It's a bit, when you say an open secret, for instance, it's something which isn't. Or act naturally. Obviously, you can't act and be natural at the same time. So act naturally. If you leave people alone together, well, they're not alone, are they? They're there together. And a definite maybe. That's it. That's a good one. I've got a few examples. Constant variables. That's another good one. Same difference. You know, same difference, impossible. So here we go. A video without Thunderfoot or Coughlan in the title. And why am I mentioning oxymorons? Well, a lot of it's down to the way we express words, the mistakes we make, and this happens in life all the time. And we know, if I said to you it's a constant variable, for instance, you'd more or less know what I meant. But of course, the words themselves don't really make sense. And this is something which, in my videos in particular, you will find does happen quite a bit. I'm not somebody who's articulate in what they say. That again, I'm doing it now, you see. I'm trying to think ahead of what I'm about to say and messing up what I'm saying at that moment. And this happens on so many people's videos. I shall, of course, be editing this because I will make those sort of mistakes. So what I want to look at is the basis of these strange arguments that we've been having on YouTube amongst the atheist community, if we are a community. In fact, I don't think we are. We're just a load of people making opinions. And that's interesting actually, because unbiased opinion is in itself an oxymoron, and I can't really have an unbiased opinion. My opinion is always biased in the sense that it may be based upon facts that I've learned, but I'll still base my opinion on that, and my opinion will always be biased in some way. So using words messes things up very often, but I think we can often look beyond the exact wordage. If that wasn't possible, then George Bush would never have got into power. Either that or something went on in Florida. Anyway, that's in the past. I want to look at another oxymoron, which is moderate Muslim. And this is the basis of all these problems we seem to have. Okay, I've made plenty of videos about Catholicism, Anglicans, general Christianity, the Bible, etc. And I don't feel a need to explain whether I'm having an opinion, a biased opinion perhaps, but an opinion against, well, whether they're extremist, whether they're just people who join the church because they like flower arranging and the social group. It doesn't matter. Those sort of people aren't going to watch the videos anyway. Super extremists may watch the videos, but they're always going to be bigoted, perhaps in the same way that I'd be bigoted. It's all about opinion expressing, and it's all about having free speech, of course. Now, when we get to moderate Muslims, what is a moderate Muslim? It's an oxymoron in the same way that when you address Christians, you should be addressing Muslims or Islam or Islamics in the same way. I went to school with an Iranian Muslim. He was a friend of mine. He came because his parents were in the Foreign Office of the Islamic Foreign Office. He came home with me at weekends because it was a boarding school on what we called exeats, and he would come home with me, and he was a mate of mine. He didn't go down and pray on the ground. At any time, I never saw him praying. He was quite happy to get pissed with the rest of us, and he was also, I seem to remember, he was quite happy to eat a bacon sandwich. Now, he was somebody who I would call a cultural Muslim. Fine. But he didn't really have much of an opinion about Islam, the rest of it. He was obviously cultural, and he came from Iran, now one of the most bizarrely theocratic countries in the world. So I know that people like this exist. Of course I do. I have friends like this that exist. And I think we ought to... We know this. We know this. Bear with me, I'm going to get to the next bit. Thing is, why is it every time you make a video that addresses Islam, Muslims, you have to explain that, oh yes, well we appreciate that not every Muslim is a terrorist. Well, of course they're not. We know that. But why is it we have to sort of put these little tags on every single video? We're not addressing those people anyway. We're not really addressing the extremists, what we would call extremists, those people prepared to blow themselves up for their religion because they feel what they're doing is good. Let's not forget that. They're doing this because they think it's right. But the reason we're not really addressing those is because if you've got to that state already, nothing I say is ever going to make a difference. However, there is somewhere between this friend of mine I went to school with and people that blow themselves up, somewhere in between that are people that you will reach, you will talk to. And they may just take some of it on board. Without bringing the whole thing to discussion, then we're never going to get anywhere. We just can't just leave people to just be taught by their mentors, as it were, that want to steer them in one direction. We have a responsibility to say, hey, wait a minute, perhaps we could steer you in this direction. Keep them moderate, perhaps. And that really is what it's about, moderation. But a moderate Muslim, what is a moderate Muslim? I'm reading the Quran at the moment. It's taken me years. I've done the Bible bit. The reason I don't address mostly videos about Islam is because I don't really have a great understanding of the Quran. And I think that's fundamentally what a lot of us feel. It's not that we don't want to criticise. If criticism is indeed needed, you have to read it first, don't you? You have to look at it at least. I've heard plenty of videos about it. I've obviously, like most of you, seen clips. This bit says this and this bit says that. And it's easy to make judgments from that, but I thought I'd have a look at it. I've only just started it. Hopefully I'll be able to make videos about it in the future. However, it's straight from the start, it is a biased book. There's no doubt about it. The opening: in the name of God, the Lord of mercy, the giver of mercy, praise belongs to God, Lord of the worlds. Oh, the Lord of mercy, the giver of mercy, master of the day of judgment. It is you we worship. It is you we ask for help. Guide us to the straight path, the path of those you have blessed, those who incurred no anger, and who have not gone astray. That's just the opening. I mean, not one explanation of the God at all. I could probably... That's the whole chapter 1. That was a lot. You go on to the next bit called the cow. It starts off, in the name of God, the Lord of mercy, the giver of mercy. Alif Lam Min. This is the scripture which there is no doubt containing guidance for those who are mindful of God, who believe in the unseen. Well, if it carries on like that, I thought, it's just going to be one biased book, isn't it? A very biased book. It just doesn't explain anything to do with why there's a God, how there's a God, or anything else in the world. But I'm really going off the subject now. I'm probably running out of time. I'm bullshitting too long. So let's just get to some sort of point here. So in future, I want to be able to make videos that do criticise Islam, do point out where it's going wrong. And I don't want to get death threats, obviously. I'd rather die in my sleep. peacefully, like my grandfather did. I don't want to die terrorised and screaming like his passengers. And that brings me to the last point. Okay, so the thing is, you can make mistakes in what you say. Oxymorons are a good example. But if you make threats at people, or if you go, fuck you, like that, now that is an obvious statement of nastiness. It's nasty. And there's no excuse for that. If people make mistakes in what they say, if there's an odd word that's not right, then fine, pick them up on it. Say, oh, I'm not, and they can clarify it. Fine, they can clarify what they say. But what we're really arguing about here, what everybody seems to be going on about, is just tiny little things that were said, perhaps not in everybody's taste. And they're to be discussed. But throwing insults at people, it's just like when you see Islamic groups going onto the street saying, you must die, behead those who insult Islam and all that sort of thing. That's just nasty, and that deserves to be brought down. It deserves to be criticised. And if I make mistakes, I deserve to be criticised. And hopefully I will come back and say, yep, I made a mistake. That is the way of my free thinking, sort of, the way I work. And I have said things in the past that I regret. And I would quite happily say, I regret saying that. But throwing insults at people, in the way Coughlan does, in the way this shredder is alive, these sort of people, it's just horrible. I don't know why people want to follow them. I've actually looked at a few videos lately and I've unsubscribed to them. I've had enough. These people subscribe to me as well, so, and I thought, really, I've got to differentiate between who's nasty and who isn't nasty. And if you think I'm nasty, then fine. Just unsubscribe to me. I don't even really want to make a video on this subject. I think we all know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, well, it's not really worth watching this video anyway, isn't it? I'm just going to say to all of you, peace for now. And, you know, let's all calm down. And don't forget those oxymorons.